Recording it?
No, I am.
You had me fooled.
No, there's no fooling you.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyhow, before
I'm gullible.
Before the shenanigans begin.
Welcome to the Vices Interimo 30 Minutes to Kill podcast.
You are listening to the Vices Interimo show. 30 minutes to kill, more or less. An awesome podcast with an unpronounceable name.
Yes.
Yeah.
With some jazzy background music if the recorder's picking it up.
Well, it must be an on-the-road episode.
We must have wanted to get out of our hot house.
Must have.
Yes.
So anyhow, we're a horror movie review podcast featuring horror, suspense, and psychological thrillers.
Psychological?
Yeah. My mouth is still frozen from this iced coffee. At any rate, does today's movie fall into one of those categories? It straddles them all, I think.
I think it was put in the genre of sci-fi horror.
There we go.
When I read about it online.
All right. Well, anyhow, more about us. You can find us on Stitchers, iTunes, Podomatic, just about anywhere. Type in VICISINTERIMO. I am your host, Michael Mad Saxon Jones, here with my lovely wife and co-host, Lori.
That would be me.
Yeah. I guess you've already been talking
I don't know.
along.
How did I get the lovely part? How'd that get tacked on?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was going to say something mean, like maybe I was thinking about somebody else, but no. It was... All right.
You're mean.
Anyhow, our show generally has 4 segments. Laid to Rest, where we tie up loose ends from old shows.
Sorry. All that grinding in the background. I think that's a barista making something.
Probably so.
I don't know.
A short review of a featured movie. In this case, it's Annihilation.
Annihilation.
Yeah. Garbage in, garbage out, where we talk about movies, TV shows, books, anything we may have caught over the last week or so. And sometimes we end with a crawling chaos, a topic or factoid we've never talked about on the show before. Sometimes silly, sometimes serious, most always chaotic.
And we don't have one yet for this week, but I'm going to try to find one before we get to the end of this thing.
Oh, all right.
I have a...
Good luck with that, because we don't have internet access.
Well... Oh, who needs internet? I have a stack of magazines. I subscribe to Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Birds and Blooms.
You're just going to open up the magazine and point to one? Or
I might do that. Oh my gosh, that's a good idea.
That's a terrible idea. I wanted to think we put some kind of effort into this show.
Because I'll probably pick the hardest one ever to explain and research and stuff, and I'll have to just stick it in a nutshell, and I won't be able to, and it'll just be a mess. I'll end up reading the whole article or something stupid.
Aside from that, then...
Oh, I have my Farmer's Almanac for 2018.
Yeah.
There'll be something in here.
All right.
I already have it in my mind. I already have it picked out because it's a story I read to you, and I think we both enjoyed it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, yay, we put some preparation into this, I guess.
Well, inadvertently, yeah.
All right. At any rate.
Accidentally?
Okay. So, laid to rest. Really brief. Here we go.
Portions of this podcast are made possible through the patronage of great people like At Lonely Bob, Big Alvy, and Goldafish. Since we are trying to grow our podcast in every way possible, even if you can't be a patron, you can still help us grow by liking, commenting, and subscribing to the podcast.
For laid to rest, I just wanted to say a little bit about watching foreign films.
Okay.
So, when you bring up the word, for most people, foreign film, if you just say foreign, I watched a foreign film or whatever, the first assumption is subtitles.
Okay.
I
was going to say it means something entirely different if you live in England or France or Canada.
Okay. Well, so I'm bringing this up, of course, thinking about last week's show, Ghost Stories, and how much or how different they speak the same language.
Right.
Or a version of English. I'm not sure, really what's going on over there. Just kidding. Anyhow.
Sounds a little different, but it's the same.
So here's the thing,
All of our words mean the same things. There's
for the most part, unless you get into slang and so on. Anyhow.
Right.
My point is, though, even within that, there is going to be some cultural differences that we're not going to pick up on.
Right.
I think, I may have talked about this before, but best example I can think of this was while watching Cracker. The British
such
version.
a great series.
Great series.
Not the American version, yeah.
Okay. But anyhow, I was watching it with a friend of mine, Ian, and he pointed out to me as a scene transpired with Robbie Coltrane and Robert Carlyle, that it's like, you're never going to fully appreciate what it was like seeing Robert Carlyle's character take a gun out of his bureau drawer and threaten an attack with it. I mean, I'm paraphrasing the scene or whatever, what was going on.
I get that. You and I have never discussed that, and I had no idea that you watched part of that one, Ian, and had a thought, but I know exactly what you're going to say.
Okay, well, that was it. He pointed that out to me at that time. He's like, as an American, guns showing up in a TV show is no big deal.
That is so normal.
But
yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for other countries, there's just little things. But I mean,
sadly,
that's why we watch.
Slowly changing, which is very sad.
Yeah. But I guess my point was, like I said, not about gun control or anything like that. Just, it's the reason
we're Americans. We don't like gun control. No, and there's different definitions to gun control.
Right. That means being able to hit the target.
I support it, but no, I don't support other kinds of gun control.
Okay. Anyhow, my point.
Being able to hit the target.
You just got that. Nice.
Well, I've got that gun control down. I could hit a target. Boy.
All right. Not what we're talking about.
Not at all.
My point was the fact that that's why we watch other films.
Well,
and it was nice, or it was interesting.
Watching it with someone who, to him, it was not a foreign series. To you, it was. Yeah. It's interesting to.
But I mean, just to take in the fact that, even as I'm watching this, even though I may get it, I may understand everything that's being said on screen or whatever, it's not necessarily going to be, we're still maybe missing points to it or whatever.
Yes.
I don't know.
No, I agree with that.
All right. Anything else that you need to cover to cover then from last week's show?
I don't think so. I don't even remember what we, it's
Ghost
all
stories?
a fuzzy blur.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah.
Well, we had company.
But I mean, I was trying to think what else we talked about.
Oh, the other stuff.
I don't know. I think we were suffering heat stroke, and it doesn't really matter now.
And we've crammed so many movies into only about a week and a half that your sister was here. Anyhow, let's move on and just get straight to Annihilation.
Okay.
All right.
Can you describe its form?
No.
Start from the beginning.
What do you think I do when you're away? You think I'm out in the garden pining, looking up at the sky? Why aren't you here?
I gotta leave a day early.
Your husband's here.
Let me see him.
He's extremely ill.
You have to tell me where he was, what he was doing.
It was his decision to go in. It's something they termed the shimmer. We've sent in drones and teams of people, but nothing comes back.
But something has.
You're a biologist. You served in the military.
If I knew what happened, I could save his life.
The boundary's getting bigger. It's expanding. We're talking cities, states.
You need to know what's inside. So do I. It's beautiful. Check this out. It's like they're stuck in a continuous mutation.
Anything interesting in there?
No. Sharks have teeth like that.
Not possible.
You can't crossbreed different species. What is it?
The soldiers on the last expedition.
They went crazy, or something in here killed them. Something's come through the fence.
Through the fence?
We have to go back.
I can't go back.
We can camp here tonight. It's destroying everything.
It's not destroying. It's making something new.
Annihilation.
Yes.
It's based on Jeff Vandermeer's best-selling trilogy, the Southern Reach trilogy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. So it's from a novel
from a
series that's a trilogy.
Yep.
Is this just one of them?
I don't
or
believe
is it
so.
everything?
I believe it is all of them kind of
Okay.
mashed into one.
Oh, never mind.
I'm going to take this for you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thanks. Never mind.
I'm going to take this for you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thanks. We
So,
should have thrown that away. Why didn't we throw that away ourselves?
I don't know. Anyhow,
We're rude. I always throw away my own trash.
we're still sitting here talking. We could have been...
Yeah, but it was like, I'll put it over there and maybe someone will grab it.
No.
That was not at all my intention.
Anyhow. So,
Wait, they'll throw our trash away, but this table was so dirty, I had to clean it from top to bottom myself. It took like a dozen napkins and half my bottle of hand sanitizer. Just saying. Annihilation.
yes, getting back to Annihilation now. Anyhow, a biologist signs up for a dangerous secret expedition into a mysterious zone where the laws of nature don't apply. All right, that's
Wow.
the brief IMDb one sentence synopsis.
I think saying that she signed up for it it's so much more complicated than that.
All right.
Because it sounds like, hey, there's this cool expedition going into this unknown. I'm going to go sign up for it.
Yeah.
That is not at all what happened.
All right. So, do you want to talk about what we saw in the movie, or do you want to talk about how you felt about it watching it first? Because we're all about the feels.
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. So,
I was going to say, unfortunately, this was a made for Netflix. It was a Netflix original.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd never heard of it. We don't have Netflix. I'd never heard of it. How many people are missing it?
you didn't see it in the theaters?
No.
I thought it was in the theaters briefly.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow. It must have been brief.
Okay.
I don't remember. How
Okay.
come I don't remember? Did I not know it was sci-fi? Did I not know what I was looking at?
You probably didn't know, because when you watch the trailers, it's one of those things where it maybe didn't resonate with you as much.
I never saw a trailer for it.
You never saw a trailer for it? Okay.
No.
Okay.
First of all, it has Natalie Portman in it.
Sure.
Second, it's sci-fi. Why in the H would I have not run out and sought this movie out?
I don't know.
I'd never heard of it.
Maybe because it had
know
Jennifer Jason Leigh in it.
I didn't know that either.
Okay. Well, anyhow.
She can't keep me away from sci-fi. No, you know what? She's fine.
Yes.
It's taken me 30 years, but I've can finally appreciate her maybe as an actress.
Okay. I like her most
After
everything.
I said maybe.
I like her most everything. Where I first noticed her actually was in Miami Blues with Fred Ward.
Not Fast Times.
Oh, well, yeah, duh.
I guess that one's
I guess
obvious.
that's an obvious one, but anyhow.
So obvious that, yeah.
Annihilation. Back to Annihilation.
Yes.
So, she gets... So we're coming back.
But there's so many things that are wrapped around that. How are we gonna? Because we can't just.
We're coming back from a spoiler that we didn't intend to include, but we're finding a hard to get around. I want to say then that Natalie Portman's character finds herself inadvertently involved in this expedition.
Yes.
And there were many other movies stories, etc., that this made me think of. Mm-hmm. Like A Color Out of Space.
Okay.
The Curse with Will Wheaton in it. You know what I mean? So you get
because that's absolutely not a spoiler.
No.
You do find out right away that something came from somewhere out there, from space. Something came down and hit a lighthouse, and from that point, this odd shimmer started to glow around the lighthouse, and then it is slowly expanding. And that's what they call it, isn't it? The shimmer.
Yeah.
And it's growing larger and larger and taking over everything.
The laws. It says the laws of nature don't apply. But that's also somewhat of a misconception.
What? The laws of our nature, as we understand it, don't apply. But actually, it's very much
they super apply.
Yeah.
Well,
without getting all sciencey, and I don't want to give away what's going on in there.
Sure, no, absolutely not. So this is one of those movies you need to watch. It was
fascinating.
You need to watch and enjoy and let it unfold at its own pace.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to go into this movie anxious to see action or adventure there's plenty of adventure there, but it's one of those mind-bending type films.
It's a thinker. Yeah. I mean, you have to be in the mood for that.
Yeah.
And if you are sciencey at all, or you like evolution theory and all of that kind of stuff, I mean, it's definitely for you.
Yeah.
And if you love sci-fi. I love sci-fi. It's the best.
I was going to talk about that at some point, about why we do a horror podcast and not a sci-fi, if you love sci-fi so much.
What are we doing?
Well, I can tell you exactly why, but I'll save that for another promo or something.
Okay.
All right, so anyhow.
We could have a spin-off sci-fi show.
Getting back to this movie, the characters, I hate to say that this was mostly a female cast of characters.
Okay.
I hate to say that because it's like, then you're focusing on the fact they're females. Like, it didn't matter that
So why did you just say that?
Because some people would want to know that.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. To some people that...
Well, I mean, and it's definitely not a, girl power super, action hero thing. It's not that at all.
Right.
They're all vulnerable in their own way. They have a lot of flaws in their own way. They all have different reasons for going into this thing together.
So I guess my point is, while it's important, it's not important.
Right.
It's important in the fact that it's not important. Is that what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, they could have been male or female. There was no reason.
Yeah. Just the way that it worked out. Anyhow, strong characters, good acting all the way through.
Yes.
Special effects.
Yes.
Special effects.
There was some scary crap going on in there.
So, not enough that you would call this a horror movie straight out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the other reason why I'm saying, if you haven't seen this yet, understand that you need to just wait for the horror elements to show up.
I mean, unless the idea of a weird shimmering mass of light taking over the planet, and I mean, I guess that's horror enough. I mean, it's like a slow growing apocalypse kind of thing.
Annihilation.
So, yes.
Okay.
But once you get behind the shimmer and you start exploring, there's definitely some horror going on in there.
So, I initially started out by talking about the fact that this was based on the Southern Ranch series.
Yeah, that's what it's called?
This is what they're calling them as. I don't have the book titles in front of me.
Right.
But in the series, Southern Ranch, I had to look it up, is a secret agency
You want me to... your dyslexia is showing.
Oh, geez, what? What?
You want to look at that title again?
Southern Reach.
There we go. I was going to say ranch. That's an interesting, like, why'd they title it that?
Jeez. Okay, so what I was...
You can either edit this out. You want to start over?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
The reason I said that is because I started thinking about The Shop. I started thinking about Golden Years, the Stephen King series that was on some time ago.
Yeah.
That featured The Shop, and the fact that often it's a secret government agency that works within there. Not unlike the X-Files, but sort of. It shows up in The Mist. There's the Shop is a thing. So when I said the Southern Ranch,
it shows up in our role-playing game we do every Sunday.
That's another story for another time. So the Southern Reach is a secret agency that manages expeditions into an area known as Area X. It's uninhabited, abandoned section of the U.S. nature has begun to reclaim. And that's the main setting for Annihilation.
Yeah.
So that sounds like it's the trilogy kind of wrapped up and summed up in a neat 2.5 hour movie.
I need more books to read.
Well, that's what I said. It was interesting enough to get me to start looking up some things about it to find out more.
Yeah. That might be a good one to actually get our hands on the books.
Yeah, indeed.
Audio or otherwise.
So, the music for this episode was inspired by Annihilation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
you put together some...
I put together, just, you know what, because it had some weird sound. Well, you'll hear it, or you won't. You'll hear it maybe as I'm putting it in the podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so anyhow, where am I going with this? Is this a movie worth checking out? What's your rating on it?
Absolutely.
Okay. The way your eyes lit up.
No, I want to give it a 5.
You want to? Okay.
I want to.
Okay.
But I'm just going to say it. I didn't totally get the ending. And I meant to look it up before we had this discussion.
Right.
Sometimes I think I know what's going on and I look it up and it's spot on, and sometimes it's something completely different.
Well,
this movie I feel like could go one way or another.
You and I need to discuss this after we turn this off, because again, we don't discuss the movies before we generally don't discuss them before we sit down and talk about
and of course I understand the big picture and everything that was going on, but there were some smaller...
There were certain subtleties.
Some smaller personal things that were going on that I'm not quite sure. Like, I want to know what now that I know it's an author of a book series, I would want to know what the author had intended or what the actual story is.
Right.
Since it's a novel, I think there's something very specific that was supposed to be going on.
Right.
I don't think it's open to interpretation.
It's tough when they make large movies like this or a series of books into a movie. Especially,
if this was all 3 crammed into one, then I don't feel so bad for not catching the ending.
At any rate, what's your number?
So, a super strong 4.5.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe I'm dumb and just needed more explanation.
I don't think so. I do think there was a certain amount that's left to the audience's imagination.
Yeah.
What was your number? You said a 4.5. Okay.
Yeah.
A strong recommend?
I'm going to say a 4.5. If you like sci-fi. If you don't like sci-fi, then don't do it to yourself.
I'm going to call it a strong 4 and say anybody listening to this podcast is probably going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, our listeners are more intelligent than the average listener.
Even if this is
they're
your
way
first
smarter
episode.
than we are.
Well, that I can absolutely agree with. At any rate, it definitely.
I love you because you're an idiot. You make me feel like a genius.
All right, so moving along. Definitely I give it a 4. A good solid 4.
Yeah.
And the only recommend that I have is, yes, you got to be ready for sci-fi.
Yeah.
And you have to be ready to just patiently sit there and watch the movie unfold. And there was nothing's boring, nothing whatever, but it doesn't jump right into...
And if you don't like Natalie Portman, I wouldn't do it either. I just learned recently she's either love it or hate it kind of thing.
Really? How could you hate her?
I don't know, because I can't. But I've
Black
met
Swan, The Professional,
I know,
number of...
I know. I've met several people lately who are like, I can't stand her. I can't look at her face, and I don't want to hear her voice, and she's awful.
Wow. What the hell are they talking about?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, moving along.
I think because...
Overexposure in certain roles?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think because people, like a lot of people see her as something special. Mm-hmm. So I think that makes people...
Automatically turn off the...
Yeah, just not like her.
It's cool to hate.
Yeah, something like that. I do think that's what's happening.
All right.
Yeah. I love her, though. I've loved her in everything I've ever seen her in.
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't bother me a bit.
All right. Garbage in, garbage out. A ton of things to cover. We won't go through all of them in depth. We probably don't need to talk about Waterworld again.
Waterworld. My sister has never seen Waterworld, and it was like, what is wrong with you? She didn't even know anything about it.
Wow. How could she have missed, if nothing else, how could she have missed when it was being made about it being just the biggest, most overblown disaster?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't know.
Mad Max on water. But I've grown to love it since I've been with you.
You have to, yeah.
And I mean, I could appreciate it for what it was anyhow, but I've come to enjoy it immensely, and I was very bummed that you guys went ahead and watched it without me.
Hey, we can put it on any time, sweetie.
This is true. Anyhow, speaking of things you watched endlessly, Cutthroat Island, you watched that one again. Anyhow, let's talk about the new things. Let's talk about Lady Bird.
Okay.
What did you think about Lady Bird?
I liked it.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was a young girl's coming-of-age story, sort of. She wanted to be called Lady Bird.
One of those kind of quirky...
given name, name she gave to herself, but it was...
Every so often we like movies like that.
Yeah.
And Laurie Metcalf.
Yeah. I did not know who she was. She was so good in the part, and I didn't recognize her face. I mean, which sounds terrible.
Have you not seen her recently? Because she looks...
Maybe, but I mean, like, I've liked her forever.
Funny.
I liked her way back when, oh man, I can't even think of the movie that she was in.
Before Roseanne?
Yeah, it was a cop drama type movie that she was in, and she played the detective. Like, I remember her, but I don't remember the rest of the movie.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, anyhow. So I enjoyed her, but yes, I enjoyed her in that. And the most fascinating thing, and maybe I don't need to share this on the podcast, the most fascinating thing was watching you and your sister have very different opinions of Laurie Metcalf's character in this movie.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys realized it, but as I listened to the comments each of you made, the comments that one person made and the other person then sort of defended or didn't say take issue with or whatever, but it was just very funny for me as a bystander to watch the two of you.
That's interesting.
It was fascinating, and I know you obviously were married, but I know your sister well enough for having, but anyhow. So the point is like I heard a very, very interesting difference of opinions being expressed subtly that nobody else probably would have got. Anyhow, I'm getting off the topic.
That's all right.
Krampus. We watched that too. Another one that was a repeat for us, but your sister hadn't seen that. So, oh my gosh, lots of fun.
That's why we ended up watching Waterworld and Krampus, because I couldn't believe she hadn't seen
either of those. The new one that we watched. Let's get to that.
Okay.
The Thinning.
The Thinning.
What did you think of The Thinning?
It was a good story.
Okay. Interesting. Why do you say it like that?
I mean, it wasn't...
This one was definitely a Netflix or a YouTube original.
Yeah.
A YouTube Red movie, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a really good story.
Mm-hmm.
Futuristic, sci-fi.
So here's what the story was.
Yeah.
It was basically we have to, in order not to use up all of our resources, the nation's leaders agree that 5% of the population needs to be dealt with, eliminated. No Thanos here. Maybe I shouldn't even talk about it. Anyhow, I was going to say, no Thanos here and stuff, wishing half the world out of existence.
Right.
Only 5%.
We're just doing the top, skim the top. We're saying the top 5. Let's say the bottom 5.
The bottom. So
and it
in this
just
case,
has to do with
the
test
US,
scores.
The U.S. has decided to, other countries do it different ways, but the U.S. has decided to cut the lowest 5% of the intelligence or the population.
And it's the children all through high school. You test every year.
So for the first 18 years or whatever, or your first 12 years or what have you, like a Hunger Games, in this,
sort of.
You know what I mean?
Only way more get offed.
Yeah. So that's that's the story behind it.
Right.
The movie, I think, as much as I liked it, I did like it when we watched it.
Don't give any spoilers.
No. I was going to say the fact, though, that it was a better concept than maybe it was executed.
Okay. Well...
Not that I had any problems with it, per se.
Right. Either did I, but it had the feeling of a made-for-TV movie.
There was just a little something missing.
But wherever they filmed it, I mean, it was a great...
The locations
the location. Wherever they got that location, it was...
It's terrible because I don't have the stuff in front of me, but people who are like our listeners that are more intelligent than us or well-rounded or whatever the case are going to recognize the actor that's in there because he's a YouTube guy. Terrible, the blonde guy.
So people more intelligent than us are going to know YouTube.
Well-rounded in
I was going to say, I kind of take pride in the fact that I don't know every YouTube star.
I'm just
Who's got time for all of that?
Well-rounded in popular.
Okay, see, I didn't know that. So the main,
I know you didn't, but
the tall blonde guy that was the main character.
Yeah,
he's a YouTube personality.
Yeah, and I'm not sure whether he's fallen out of favor lately or whatever. I seem to remember him doing something stupid, or maybe he's the other guy.
That's the problem with YouTube drama. See, exactly. You get shunned for a while. You have to win back all of your subscribers and followers.
Yeah. Anyhow, so aside from that, concentrating on the movie, movie was good. Did have a made-for-TV feel to it.
Yeah,
just a little bit. But having said that,
which was totally fine. But it wasn't like it didn't blow me away as a well-rounded, awesome picture.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was a great story. It was a very interesting story.
It's interesting too because
two twists. Had a couple of twists going on.
Interesting too because it's the concept as you're watching it.
Right.
That I want to say it was better while we were watching it than reflecting upon it after having seen it.
Okay.
Because it can be appreciated. Everybody can understand, or I think has been through a test.
Yeah.
Whatever test it might be in school or whatever.
If I'm not in the top 5%, I have an issue. I would not be at the bottom. Sorry.
And so I would get axed. Thanks.
No,
you wouldn't take one for me? Anyhow, the point is that the fact that watching it, you can identify with that portion of it. Just about anybody. You know what I mean? You can put yourself in a test where like, oh my God, if I don't pass this test, I'm going to die. Well, in this case, it could literally be true.
Yeah.
But that's one thing.
There was that.
So there's that. Now, on the other end, it can be appreciated from the fact that if you had a child, you would be, you would be cramming your kid all the time. And the problem is, since it's graded on a curve, arguably, no matter how smart you might be,
right?
If the other 95% are smarter than you, so
everybody could get A's, but and it's not an A thing; it's a percentage. But everybody could be just fractions away from each other,
and you're still the bottom 5, so you can get cut. So I mean, think about that for a second.
It's like watching the Olympics. The amazing thing about the Summer Olympics, when you watch the swimming events, or skiing, the Winter Olympics, the skiing, slalom, whatever. These people are all coming in within a fraction of a second of each other.
Yeah.
The difference between a gold and sorry, you're the tail end, you're the loser, you did the worst. There could be just
less
a second or less than a second. Yeah. So it's the same, no pressure.
Exactly. Anyhow, that's probably enough about that. But
and then I'll just say really quick too. There was absolutely a lot of political commentary and class, social class things going on.
Right.
Power, people having too much power or or not having any power at all.
Right.
So there's those kind of things going on.
It wasn't in a preachy way, though. I mean, that was kind of like...
it was just part of the story.
Part of the story and stuff, yeah. So
it's one that kind of gets you thinking, I guess.
Yeah, indeed.
And there's no fear of that anyway, because our world is way more idiocracy than it is the thinning. So we're actually going down the idiocracy route. So if you haven't seen that movie, I would recommend watching them both. Have a double feature. Watch them both and see which one you think looks more like the world outside.
More realistic. All right. Well, fair enough.
I guarantee it's idiocracy.
What did you have?
You don't see us having children, do you?
Well, no, exactly. Well, hey, what about the people that do have kids?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyhow, what did you have for Crawling Chaos?
Uh-oh.
I mean, as far as that goes, that there could be our...
weather forecasts for all regions.
So...
would you like this to be our Crawling Chaos?
This, to me, is the Crawling Chaos, because I've never understood what a farmer's almanac is.
It's for farmers, planters, merchants, laborers, and gentle country folk. I think they tacked that one on later. That would be me, gentle country folk, even though I'm living in a freaking noisy, stinky-ass city.
So that's it. Okay. So, I mean, it's... like I said, it was always presented to me as... and therefore, I couldn't understand why deeply religious people that don't believe in prognostication and fortune-telling and so on would read or listen to this. But these are predictions for weather patterns and stuff just based on...
Yeah, right on the front, it says, after it says featuring weather forecasts for all regions, it says notable events, zodiac secrets, astronomical tables, planting tables, gardening hints, fishing guide, predictions, nostalgia. That's where it's... obviously, these things were not... these were added later. Mysteries of the universe, facts, and folklore.
Okay.
But... back in the day when they first started making these, it was mostly the astronomical charts and things, and it has each region, each state. If you're planting potatoes, plant them this week. That's the optimal with the sun and the weather patterns. Yeah. Obviously, it's not perfect weather patterns. They can predict weather patterns for a whole year, but it's not. I mean, obviously...
Well, I was going to say maybe the law of large numbers apply then at that point.
Yeah,
because...
but I mean, we know... Okay, what do we know about the South? We know it's hot and humid in the summer, right? Right. So it's going to tell you that in here. It's kind of a dud of the people that live there. But it just has... I think it does do the just averages. I think it looks at the past and... I should have flipped through here and found... you did kind of put me on the spot.
Like I said, I didn't mean
it explains all the different regions. Okay. Here's a thing about Cyclone Day. It says, for 3 years in a row on the same day of the year, in the evening, a tornado struck this area around Codell, Kansas. So, should you maybe look for one on that day this year? Maybe. It has all the hurricanes of 20... Well, it says hurricane names for 2018. Are these ones that haven't even happened yet?
Possibly.
So they name them ahead of time?
Yeah, I think so, because they do it in alphabetical order, don't they? And it...
alphabetical order and male or female.
Right. Mm-hmm. So maybe they're picked out ahead of time and they just attach the name to it when it gets here.
Right.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I was trying to find the... I don't know. But yeah, there's all of the, here's an explanation of daylight savings time, spring forward, fall back. Okay. So this one, now they're, like it said, nostalgia and stuff, and mysteries of the universe, facts and folklore. There's more articles in here about stuff. Like this is the history of this, or this actually... the editor on the front page talks about how this one they did a focus on like the wars So there's articles in here on the Great War, which is, of course, World War I.
Right.
So there's a lot of... And that's what I was looking for, something in here to do for Crawling Chaos that was related to
Well,
that.
I think this pretty much sums up the Crawling Chaos. And where did we pick this up? Was this in North
'cause I could
Carolina we
keep
grabbed
talking.
this?
Yeah, they're really hard to find in California. I think we're over it. No. I don't recommend living in California. But yeah, these are getting harder to find. I never see these anymore.
Not Southern California.
I used to buy one every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were in North Carolina getting ready to fly out, and we saw this in a liquor store.
In a liquor store,
right?
no
we were,
less.
We were
Yes.
gassing up our rental car just before we got on the airplane. But yeah, if you've never seen a Farmer's Almanac, I'd recommend picking one up.
Check one
if
out.
you can find them.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
on that note, I think we killed it. So if anybody's still listening, thanks for sticking it out to the end.
Yeah.
As always, you can get in contact with us by emailing me directly at madsaxon, MADSAXXON @yahoo.com, or look us up on Facebook by punching in VICISINTERIMO, or just friend me, S. Michael Jones. Thanks for listening.
Here's an article all about the impeachment of President Andrew Johnson. His trial was 150 years ago.
Wow.
So if you want to know about that, it's in here.
So the future or the past, whatever you're looking for.
Yeah.
All right. Annihilation.
I've never seen her with her hair down before. Have you? Do you know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
no, I have no idea.
The manager here?
Uh-huh.
She always has her hair back in a tight little,
Man, she went in the bathroom and said,
Wow, it was like... I
Glorious?
don't want to... Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
I love Gloria's hair.
It
Too bad
looked all
neither you or I have
soft
any.
and-
All right.
Oh, I don't have any either, so sorry.
That's why I said us.
Oh.
Anyhow,